This is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Something really big is happening right now in the PLAZM protocol. A historic milestone, something that's never happened before, is now just days away. We're talking about the crossover. So today, we're going to break down exactly what it is, and more importantly, why it matters so much.
Okay, so as of day 102, the protocol's entire supply structure is basically sitting on a knife's edge. You've got the staked supply, these are the tokens locked up by long-term believers, sitting at 36%. And right next to it, you have the liquid supply, that's the freely tradable stuff, at 37%. I mean, they're incredibly close.
How close? Just a single percentage point. That's it. That is all that separates the supply committed to the protocol for the long haul from the amount that's just available for short-term speculation. This is, without a doubt, the narrowest this gap has ever been. So, this obviously brings up the big question, right? What does this imminent crossover actually mean for the protocol and for everyone involved? Let's dive into that.
To really get why today is so significant, we have to look back. This didn't just happen overnight. It's actually the result of this really powerful and rapid convergence that's been playing out over just the last few weeks.
And here's what's really wild. It's the acceleration of this trend. I mean, think about it. On day 84, there was a massive 19-point gap between staked and liquid. By day 97, it had shrunk all the way down to 5 points. Then by day 100, just 2 points. And now here we are at day 102, with just that single percentage point. The convergence is absolutely speeding up.
You know, the raw numbers here make the trend undeniable. Stake supply is just consistently climbing, while the liquid supply is getting squeezed. The math is pretty clear. It's no longer a question of if this crossover is going to happen, it's just a matter of when.
So what's actually causing this? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a combination of three really powerful mechanics, three compression forces, all working together to shrink that liquid supply.
First up, we've got the burns. In just the last 18 days, nearly 500,000 tokens have been permanently destroyed. And I mean destroyed. They're not just locked, they are gone from existence, forever. They can never come back to the liquid supply.
The second, and honestly the most significant force, is new staking. Over 710,000 tokens have been actively moved from the free float into staking contracts in that same 18-day window. This is a direct, active choice from holders who are deciding to lock up their tokens for the long term.
And the third force is LP absorption. We've seen over 213,000 tokens get pulled out of free circulation to provide depth for the trading pairs. Now, they're not locked in the same way as staking, but they are removed from that immediate sellable supply.
So when you add it all up, the combined effect is just immense. These three forces together have taken over 1.4 million tokens out of the liquid, freely tradable supply in just over 2 weeks. This is the engine that's driving us straight towards the crossover. But this is way more than just a math problem. The crossover is deeply symbolic. It represents a fundamental shift in the very nature of who holds PLAZM. We're literally watching a move from one era to another.
Think about it like this. Before this crossover, the protocol has always existed in a world where the float dominates. Most of the supply was tradable, which means potential sellers have always outnumbered the committed long-term holders. After the crossover, that dynamic completely flips on its head. Conviction will dominate. The majority of the supply will be locked up, and for the first time, committed holders will outnumber potential sellers. And that is the crucial point. The crossover is the exact moment the protocol's supply structure proves, mathematically, that conviction has finally become a more powerful force than short-term speculation.
So this brings us to the obvious next question, right? If it's a matter of when, not if, well, when can we actually expect this historic crossover to happen?
By modeling the trends that we're seeing right now, we can actually build a pretty solid projection. We're seeing about 25,000 new tokens being staked every single day, and on top of that, roughly 27,000 tokens are being burned daily. These trends point towards a very, very specific window.
Based on the current rate of convergence, the projection is that the crossover will happen sometime between day 105 and day 108. We're talking just a handful of days from now. And of course, if we see an acceleration in staking, that could pull the date even closer.
So, what happens on the other side? What does life in the protocol actually look like once conviction officially dominates the supply? Let's explore the effects and the new dynamics we can expect.
Well, structurally, a few really key things happen. With less liquid supply just floating around,
the maximum potential sell pressure is simply reduced. This can lead to a much stronger floor support during market downturns, and potentially less price volatility overall. And, psychologically, it's just a massive confidence boost for the entire community.
What's really fascinating here is that the crossover isn't the end of the story. The models actually show that after it happens, the gap between staked and liquid supply is probably going to widen. It's like a flywheel effect. More staked supply builds confidence, which encourages even more staking, which then reduces the liquid supply even further. The whole dynamic just accelerates.
And this really illustrates the larger picture. Even today, before the crossover, if you combine the staked, burned, and LP supply, you see that 63% of the total supply is already protected and isn't freely circulating. The crossover is just that final, powerful event that pushes the single largest component, the staked supply, into the dominant position over the float. 36% staked, 37% liquid, 1 percentage point. Within days, staked will exceed liquid for the first time in protocol history. More tokens locked by believers than freely tradable. That's not just a milestone. That's a supply structure proving that conviction has exceeded speculation. The crossover approaches.
This material is for informational purposes only and is not investment advice. Digital assets are speculative and involve a high degree of risk.